Hi student, welcome to my channel. I think all of you are well and staying at home. Today we will discuss about some important topic related to semiconductor. In my previous lecture already I have shared you some topics related to semiconductor. I think all of you have go through this. Okay. Now in my previous lecture I have shown you some topics like crystal, what is metal, semiconductor, that means just basic idea. Okay. And the types of semiconductors. Today we will discuss briefly about semiconductor. That means what are its characteristics and what is N type, P type, and actually what happen in insulator in case of metal and semiconductor. Okay. So for this, I will request all of you please go through my previous lecture, which already I have shared you through your Google Classroom. Okay. Now today I will discuss some characteristics or of semiconductor, also the comparison of semiconductor with metal and insulator. Okay. Now on the basis of band structure, I think you know what is band structure, and when someone asking you about band structure, the first two word which stuck in our head, that is one is valence band and another is that is your conduction band. Now you know what is valence band. Valence band means actually where the valence electrons lies, and what is conduction band. Conduction band means where basically the free electrons are easily moved in here and there. Okay. Now one thing I want to say that the area of the conduction band, that is obviously the higher compared to your valence band. That means when you apply some external force, okay, when you apply some external force on the valence electron, then the valence electron can move to the conduction band, that means upper level. That means you can say the level of valence band is lower compared to your what? Compared to your conduction band, and the position of conduction band is higher compared to your valence band. Okay. Now our topic is, that is the according to energy band structure, what is the basic difference in case of metal, insulator and semiconductor. To go through this, first I want to show this picture. Okay. Here you can say this is the energy band diagram. This first figure shows the energy band diagram of insulator. Okay. And the second one shows the energy band diagram of your semiconductor, and the third one is metal. Okay. Now see in all the picture, okay, here you have some circle and you have some dotted circle, that means you can say filled circle. Now here we are assuming that this circle, that means which is not filled, this circle is known as hole. Okay. And this filled circle is denoted as free electron. All of us know that if the concentration of free electron is high, that means what? That means conductivity increases. Okay. Now see the lowest energy band means this is the valence band, and the upper level is conduction band in all the three cases. Okay. Now first come to the insulator. What is insulator? Exactly what is insulator and what happens in insulator. Also I want to show you that here one variable, that is Eg, capital E suffix G, Eg is written. What is Eg? Eg is the band gap energy. Now what is band gap energy? What is? Actually band gap energy means the duration of the energy band between valence band and conduction band, that is known as what? That is known as band gap energy. Okay. That means when you apply some external force to the valence band, that means, or you can say when you apply some external force to the valence electron, then this valence electron can move from this location to where? This location, and the distance between this valence band and conduction band, that is basically known as energy band. Sorry, this is basically known as band gap energy. Okay. Now come to the insulator first. What happens in case of insulator? In case of insulator, suppose I am asking you that what do you know about insulator? So you can say that insulator means that this is a one kind of crystalline solid, because we all know insulator or it is semiconductor or metal, all concept comes from where? All concept comes from crystalline solid. Okay, now if you classify your crystalline solid, then basically we can say crystalline solid can be classified into three categories. One is insulator, another is semiconductor, and last one is metal. Now in case of insulator, you can say insulator is one kind of crystalline solid where the band gap energy, also this band gap energy is also known as what? Forbidden gap energy. Okay, that means if someone asking you that what is the forbidden gap of insulator, or if I am asking you that what is the band gap energy of this insulator, that means both are same. Okay, so insulator means this is a one kind of crystalline solid where the forbidden energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band is very large. Okay, now come to the semiconductor. See, here this forbidden gap energy is less compared to insulator, but in case of metal, here two bands are overlapping to each other. Okay, that means here is no forbidden gap energy. For where? For metal. Okay, now see, for basically the forbidden gap for insulator is 6 electron volt. This EV stands for electron volt, and for semiconductor normally it lies between 1 EV, that means 1 electron volt. And for metal there is no forbidden gap because conduction band and valence band both are overlapping with each other. Okay, now so we can say in case of insulator the forbidden gap is much higher compared to semiconductor and metal. Also now suppose at ordinary temperature, now that means we can say at ordinary temperature very few electron can move from valence band to conduction band in case of insulator. That means in conduction band, if you have very few free electron, what happens? Your conductivity will be very low. Now if your conductivity is less, that means what? That means in case of insulator, current flow is almost, you can say, zero. Okay, now if I suppose you are asked that give one example of insulator, so what is your answer? Basically you can say there are lots of insulator, that means wood is also a insulator, then diamond is also a good example of insulator. Basically this 6 EV electron volt forbidden gap, it is for diamond. Okay, now come to the next part, that is semiconductor. What is semiconductor? Now you can say semiconductor is a crystalline solid where the forbidden gap is less compared to insulator, and forbidden gap is higher compared to metal. Basically in semiconductor we use normally two types of metal, that is two types of atom, that is germanium and silicon. Okay, basically germanium has a forbidden gap of 0.78 eV, and for silicon it's a forbidden gap energy, that means its value is 1.2 eV. Okay, so note down this 2 point because this 2 point is very important for your short question. What is that? That is for germanium, forbidden gap energy is 0.78 eV. Okay, and for silicon, its forbidden gap energy is 1.2. So one is 0.78 for germanium and 1.2 eV for silicon. Okay, now if you compare the conductivity, now in terms of conductivity you can say here the conductivity is higher compared to insulator, but conductivity is less compared to metal. Why? Because in case of semiconductor some electrons, some valence electron can acquire some energy. With the help of this energy, they can move from valence band to conduction band. That means if you have suppose just for example, suppose I have in valence band I have suppose 10 electron. Now if it is seen that 5 valence electron can move from valence band to conduction band. That means you can say, okay, there is some conductivity but not fully conductivity. That means there is some more conductivity compared to insulator but less conductivity compared to metal. Okay. But now in case of semiconductor, one important question may ask, that is it is known as at 0 Kelvin pure semiconductor behaves like an insulator. Okay, this is a very important statement for semiconductor, that is at 0 Kelvin temperature. Just note down, that is at 0 Kelvin a pure semiconductor behaves like an insulator. That means why it is known, why it is so called that as at 0 Kelvin pure semiconductor behaves like an insulator, because it is seen that at 0 Kelvin no valence electron can acquire energy so that they can move from valence to conduction band. That means if there is no free electron in conduction band, so what happens? Again there is no conductivity. So no conductivity means no electricity. So we can say at 0 Kelvin the conductivity of semiconductor is what? 0. That means when its conductivity increases, that means if you increase the temperature, that means if you increase the temperature, then it is seen that some electrons from valence band can acquire some energy. With the help of this energy, semiconductor with the help of this energy, this valence electron comes to the conduction band, and when it comes to the conduction band it becomes free. That means there has some conductivity. So you can say semiconductor is a crystalline solid which has some characteristics like insulator as well as some characteristics which is similar to metal. That means at 0 Kelvin a semiconductor behaves like an insulator, but when you increase your temperature then it behaves like a metal. Okay. Next come to the third part, that is metal. So what is metal? You can say metal is a crystalline solid which has overlapping valence and conduction band, which is already shown here. Okay. Now in metal the valence band is partially filled and the conduction band extends beyond the upper end of the filled valence band. When an electric field is applied, then what happens? Means when electric field is applied to the valence band, then electrons may acquire some additional energy. With the help of this energy, this electron comes to the conduction band. Okay, and when it reaches to the conduction band, that means it becomes mobile, that means it becomes free. So a small energy, with the help of this small energy we can get a huge number of free electron in the conduction band. So as a result the conductivity of metal is higher compared to semiconductor and insulator. Okay, and also one thing note down, that in case of metal you have, that means in case of metal its characteristics is that there is no forbidden gap. Here the valence band and conduction band is just overlapping to each other. Okay. So this is all about according to energy band structure, the difference between insulator, semiconductor and metal. And student, this is very important question for your exam also. From this you may ask that write a short notes on semiconductor, or write a short notes on insulator, or write a short notes on metal. So what you have to do, that means you have to know all about insulator, semiconductor or metal. Again you may ask that with the proper energy band diagram. Okay, basically when you are asked to compare these three types of crystalline solid, obviously you have to show this energy band structure. Okay, so with the help of this energy band structure you can easily describe the concept behind insulator, semiconductor and metal. And again, remember two more points, that is example of insulator, example of semiconductor, example of metal. And basically for semiconductor we normally use germanium and silicon, and for germanium its forbidden gap energy is what 0.78 electron volt, and for silicon it is 1.2 electron volt. Okay, next come to the next topic, that is characteristics of classifications of semiconductor. Okay, that means how can you classify this semiconductor. Okay, basically there are two types of semiconductor. One is intrinsic semiconductor and another is extrinsic semiconductor. Now this intrinsic semiconductor is again known as pure semiconductor. Okay, and this extrinsic semiconductor is also known as impure semiconductor, and also it is known as doped semiconductor. That means intrinsic means pure semiconductor, and extrinsic means what? And extrinsic means extrinsic means what? Extrinsic means you can say impure. Also it is known as doped semiconductor. Okay, so intrinsic means pure and extrinsic means impure or doped semiconductor. Okay, so what is intrinsic semiconductor? That means you can say that semiconductor without impurities is termed as a pure or intrinsic semiconductor. Now come to the next part. Here I have shown you the overall structure of a germanium crystal. That means if you want to design a semiconductor with the help of germanium crystal, then what happens? Also you can say this is the topic of effect of temperature on semiconductor. That means we all know that intrinsic means this is a pure semiconductor, but if you increase the temperature in case of intrinsic semiconductor, then what happens? Okay, now say this is a germanium crystal. Now first tell me in case of germanium, what is the valence electron in the outermost orbit of a germanium? Can you remember? Yes, this is 4 valence electron. That means in case of germanium crystal, we all know there are 4 valence electron. Now to form a octet, what we have to do? That means to form an octet, germanium needs 8 valence electron in its outermost orbit. Okay, now how can germanium achieve this 8 valence electron? See, this is one germanium crystal, this is another germanium crystal. Now it has what? 4 valence electron, and it has also 1 2 3 4 valence electron. Okay, now come to this. Again this is a germanium crystal, it has 4. That means if you draw a germanium crystal here and here, that means this germanium crystal can acquire 1 plus 1, that is 2, 1 plus 1, that is 2, 2 plus 2, 4, 1 plus 1, that is again 2, and 1 plus 1, that is 2. That means 2 2 2 2. That means 8 valence electron in its outermost orbit. Like this germanium atom have 8 valence electron. Now you can also see that with this valence electron there is some bond, and this bond between this valence electron and another valence electron, this particular bond is known as what? This particular bond is also known as covalent bond. So basically covalent, can you remember? That is covalent bond. Okay, so which bond? Covalent. Also you can check this in my note also, just I am writing here. So electron pair is known as what? Covalent bond. Okay, so here you have lots of covalent bond. Now, one thing you tell me, that's if all the electrons are attached with the, that means all the valence electron of germanium atom is attached with the other valence electron of the another germanium atom. So, what is the value of the electrons which are free? Can you tell me? If all the valence electrons are paired with each other through this covalent bond, that means there are no valence electron. Now if you there are all the valence electrons are attached, that means there are no free valence electron. Now if you have no free valence electron, that means what happened? All the electrons lies in the valence band, that means your conduction band is totally empty. Now if your conduction band is totally empty, so what happens? Conductivity, what? Conductivity is 0. That means in any way you have to break this covalent bond, otherwise you cannot achieve covalent bond. So how otherwise you cannot achieve the conductivity. So how can you break this covalent bond? Actually, this breaking of covalent bond, the breaking of this covalent bond, again I am saying covalent bond means electron valence electron, that means electron pair. So if you want to break this covalent bond, that means this process is known as rupturing of the covalent bond. So you require some what? You require some energy. So from where you get this energy? Some external force. That means if external source means either you have to apply force, you have to apply some energy forcefully, or you have to increase some temperature, because in the previous lecture already I have told you that if you want to increase the conductivity, that means you have to increase the temperature. So when you increase the temperature, so valence electron can acquire some energy. With the help of this energy, they can move from valence to conduction band. So when they move from valence band to conduction band, they require some energy, and this energy is again known as what? Forbidden gap energy. That means you can say that energy required to break the covalent bond, that is also known as forbidden gap energy, isn't it? Breaking of covalent bond, that means what? So when covalent bond breaks, that means your valence electron become free, and when it free, that means it lies in the, well, which position? It lies in the conduction band. That means the energy which is required to break this electron bond, the energy which is required to break this covalent bond, that means the energy which is known as forbidden gap energy. And for germanium, what is its value? Already I have told you, remember. Okay. Now come to the point, that is if you increase the temperature, then what happens? Now here you have three figures, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. Figure 1 is just normal at 0 Kelvin, the germanium crystal. That means 0 Kelvin, there is no free electron. Now if you increase the temperature, then what happens? If you increase the temperature, say this one, okay, that means here at first we have electron, valence electron. When this valence electron acquires some energy with the help of this increasing of temperature, then this electron easily breaks this covalent bond, and when it breaks this covalent bond, it becomes free. That's why this electron will be shifted from, say this is location A to B. That means here we have this free electron. Now what happens in the position of the electron? That means when any electron leaves its previous location, that previous location is considered as a hole. Okay, that means the vacant place of electron, okay, the vacant place of electron is determined by a tiny circle which is known as hole. That means again, if I asking you, that is how hole is generated, basically this is a concept. Okay, so when hole is generated, when electron leaves its previous place. That means that position of the electron, it is assumed that the previous position of the electron is held by a circle which is known as hole, and these holes also contribute the conductivity in the conductivity process of the semiconductor. Now come to the third figure. What happened? It means when an electron hole pair is thermally created. How can you say that an electron hole pair is generated? That means when this electron leaves this position, this is denoted by a hole. Now this bonding is prepared between a hole and a valence electron, but this bonding is does not known as the covalent bond, because covalent bond normally generates between two valence electron, and this bonding is known as electron hole pair. Just okay. So when an electron hole pair is thermally created, valence electron in the neighboring atom can have the sufficient thermal energy to jump the position of the hole, and it reconstruct the covalent bond again. How? What do you want to say? That means here you can say that an electron hole pair is generated. Now in the previous atom, again it has some valence electron. Now this valence electron again try to jump from this location to this location. That means when these valence electron, see, these valence electron jumps from this point to this point. Okay, that means again the vacant place of this valence electron will be denoted by a hole, and again this electron comes to this position. That means again electron pair, that means covalent bond is generated. In this way you can generate, or that means in this way germanium atom can generate a huge number of holes. Okay. So you can say in this process the electron leaves a hole in its initial position, and in the third figure we have seen that the valence electron at position A fills the position B of a hole, and effectively the hole moves from B to A. Here you can see. Okay, thus the holes move in the direction opposite to the direction of the valence electron. That means in this process you can say, suppose this is one location. Suppose here electron is present. Okay, see, this is the position of valence electron. Now when this electron moves to this direction to this direction, that means you can say the direction of electron is in this way. In this figure you can say from left to right. Now the vacant place of hole is here. Okay, that means the direction of hole is just opposite of electron. Again this is another important question for short question. That is, the direction of hole is just reverse of the direction of electron. Remember this point. Okay. And in an intrinsic semiconductor, the number of holes is equal to the number of free electrons, and it is also known as that at equilibrium condition the electron concentration N and the hole concentration P. The electron concentration N, you can see here it is written that suppose the concentration of electron is denoted at small n variable, and the concentration of hole is denoted at P variable. Now in equilibrium condition it is known as the concentration of free electron and the concentration of hole, that is both are same, and it is denoted as Ni, and also this Ni is known as intrinsic carrier concentration. And remember this point also. Again this is a very important term for your topic. That is, what do you mean by intrinsic carrier concentration? Okay. Again you have another question, that is why at 0 Kelvin pure semiconductor behaves like an insulator. Already I have discussed this. Okay, why semiconductor behaves like an insulator, and this is very important for your exam also. So just go through this. Next, extrinsic semiconductor, our next topic. So extrinsic means what? Extrinsic means doped semiconductor, or you can say this is impure semiconductor. Okay. Now, if an intrinsic semiconductor, that means with the intrinsic semiconductor, if you add some small amount of impurities, okay, then that type of intrinsic semiconductor is known as extrinsic semiconductor. That means you can say extrinsic semiconductor is prepared with the help of intrinsic semiconductor, or you can say with adding some impurities with the intrinsic semiconductor, easily you can generate or you can get the extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, extrinsic semiconductor is also known as doped impure semiconductor, and the addition of this small percentage of impurity atoms to a semiconductor is called doping process. Again, you may ask that what do you mean by doping? Doping means just it is a process, that means adding some impurity with the intrinsic semiconductor. Here in this semiconductor means obviously intrinsic semiconductor. Now, the electrical conductivity of this extrinsic semiconductor is basically controlled by the excess free electrons or holes produced by the impurity atom. Basically, in germanium and silicon, addition of group 5 elements. Can you remember which are the group 5 element? I think all of you have idea about group 5 element, group 3 element, because in your chemistry, that is 11-12 topic, so there you have some topics related to group 3 element, group 5 element, okay, periodic table where you can see this. So in germanium and silicon, if you add group 5 element, add an impurity. Okay, basically germanium and silicon, using this we can generate the intrinsic semiconductor. Now in this intrinsic semiconductor, if you add group 5 element like phosphorus, P stands for phosphorus, Sb stands for antimony, and As is arsenic. Now if you add this type group 5 element with this intrinsic germanium or silicon semiconductor, then it produces what? Then it produces excess free electron. Okay, and whereas in case of if you add this group 3 element like In stands for indium, boron, aluminium or gallium, then creates excess holes. Okay, so doping and depending upon the doping concentration, you can categorize the extrinsic semiconductor again into two types. One is N type and another is P type. Now we all know, for N-type semiconductor, N-type extrinsic or intrinsic, N-type extrinsic semiconductor, the majority carriers is what? The majority carriers are electron, and for P-type semiconductor, the majority carriers are holes. That means if you add group 5 element with the intrinsic semiconductor, then it is seen that excess free electrons are generated. That means the concentration of free electron is high, or the concentration of free electrons are higher in case of N-type semiconductor. And now how can you generate this N-type semiconductor? Just reverse question, that means by adding group 5 element with the intrinsic semiconductor. Now in case of P-type semiconductor, what are the majority carriers? In case of P-type semiconductor, majority carriers are holes. Now how can you generate P-type semiconductor? Means if you want to generate P-type semiconductor, then you have to add group 3 element with the intrinsic semiconductor, then only you can say that the excess free holes will be generated, and upon these characteristics you can say that extrinsic semiconductor can be categorized into two parts, that is N-type and another is P-type semiconductor. See, this is the overall atomic structure of N-type semiconductor. Here I have taken silicon as a crystalline. Okay, so silicon. So again I am asking, if I asking you that what is the valence electron for silicon, your answer will be what? That is 4 valence electron. Okay, now it has 4 valence electron. Now if you add group 5 element, group 5 element means what? Group 5 element means outermost orbit, it has how many valence electron? It has 5 valence electron. Okay, you can see here, that means here I have added phosphorus. Phosphorus is a group 5 element with the silicon, that means 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 electron is excess. That means already it has some excess electron. Okay, that means when you add this group 5 with the silicon intrinsic semiconductor, already we have some free electron, and normally this electron is loosely bound. Okay, so 4 of the 5 valence electron in the pentavalent impurity atom will form covalent bond with 4. That means here you can say this is a covalent bond, this is a covalent bond, this is covalent bond. That means you have 4 covalent bond, but this electron is basically free. Okay, now the energy required to move from this position to the conduction band, that is very less. That means if it has some 0.01 eV volt, then easily this electron can move from valence band to conduction band. 0.01, just remember 0.01 is very less. Okay, this is for germanium, and for silicon it requires 0.05 eV. That means in silicon structure, as I have used here silicon, that means if this electron can acquire 0.05 electron volt, then it can easily move from valence to conduction band. After that, same process, that means this covalent bond will be break up. That means this electron pair will be break when you increase the temperature, and the position of this electron will filled with a hole, and again that hole will be replaced by another valence electron. Like this you can generate more number of valence electron. So this is the process to generate the n-type semiconductor. Just to go through this, and same process for p-type semiconductor, but here you have to use group 3 element. Group 3 element means what? Group 3 element means whose outermost orbit has only 3 valence electron. Okay, and one position is already vacant. That means there is no electron, and this is noted by a hole. Okay, and in this process we have to see that here excess number of holes are generated. That's why, that means majority carriers are holes and minority carriers are electron. That's why this type of extrinsic semiconductor is basically known as p-type semiconductor. Okay, so one thing here you remember that how this p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductors are generated, and in case of n-type semiconductor, majority carrier is electron, minority carrier is hole, and in case of p-type semiconductor, majority carrier is what? Majority carrier is hole and minority carrier is electron. Okay, in this context, again another term is related to this, that is mass action law. What do you mean by mass action law? This is again very important topic. So this is a law, just remember this, and this is the statement. Okay, so not my statement, this is the statement of a scientist. That is, mass action law means under thermal equilibrium condition, the product of free electron concentration, that is denoted as N, and the hole concentration, that is denoted as P, is a constant. And if you multiply these two things, that means this hole concentration and this electron concentration, and it will be equal to Ni square. Already I have shown you that in case of intrinsic semiconductor, just intrinsic semiconductor, N is equal to P is equal to Ni. Now if you multiply N into P, that means it becomes Ni square, and this is the statement of mass action law, and this equation is fixed. Okay, now the intrinsic carrier, what is Ni? Ni basically known as intrinsic carrier concentration, and Ni is a function of temperature. Okay, where N or P is increased by the addition of impurities. That means this is for intrinsic semiconductor. This mass action law is valid for intrinsic semiconductor. Now if for extrinsic semiconductor, that means if it is p-type semiconductor, that means concentration of P will be increased, and in case of n-type semiconductor, the concentration of N will be increased. Okay, but if N is increased, that means P will be decreased, and if P is increased, that means N will be decreased. In this way, this equation holds this statement. That means Np always N into P is equal to Ni square. Okay. And this expression is valid only for under thermal equilibrium condition. Mind it. Okay. Now my next topic is, these are some extra topic related to this semiconductor, that means effect of temperature on intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, what happens in case of intrinsic semiconductor if you increase the temperature? Now basically for intrinsic semiconductor, you can see here that when temperature increases, that means what? That means more number of valence electron can move from valence band to conduction band. That means covalent bond will be broken up, and the valence electron will be moved from valence to conduction band, so that your conductivity will be increases. Okay, as the temperature is decreased, then electrons don't receive so much energy to break the covalent bond, so they will stay at valence band. Therefore lowering the temperature, you can say, causes a decrease in intrinsic carrier concentration, while raising the temperature causes an increase in the intrinsic carrier concentration. Okay. Next, effect of temperature on Fermi level on intrinsic semiconductor. Again, what is Fermi level? I think all of you know this. If you forget this, then remember this point where I have shown you that what is Fermi level. In my next lecture, I will give you some more details concept about Fermi level. But basically, just remember Fermi energy. What is Fermi energy? Fermi energy means it is the maximum possible energy possessed by free electrons of a material at absolute zero temperature. Okay. And we all know where this Fermi level lies. Basically, this Fermi level lies between this valence band and the conduction band. Okay. Now, what happens of Fermi level for intrinsic semiconductor? See, this is the diagram. Okay, energy band diagram of intrinsic semiconductor. In this figure, you can say this is the valence band, and the valence band energy is noted here, that is EV. Here V stands for valence band and C stands for conduction band. And this Fermi level, this lies, see, you can say, the middle of the forbidden gap energy. Just see, the middle of the forbidden gap energy in case of intrinsic semiconductor. Okay. Now, effect of temperature on Fermi level in extrinsic semiconductor. In see here again you have two energy band diagram. This is for N-type semiconductor and this one is for P-type semiconductor. Again I am saying N-type semiconductor means what? N-type semiconductor means you have more number of free electron. Okay, and that means majority carriers are electrons. And in case of P-type semiconductor, you have less number of free electrons. Okay, that means you have more number of holes. That means conductivity is here conductivity is less. No, here conductivity is high also. Here one thing you have to remember, that not only for electrons current, we have some current. We can get current for holes also. That means either for electron or for holes, because hole basically generated when electron moves. When electron moves, then its previous position is held by a tiny circle which is known as hole. That means if you have less number of electron and more number of holes, that means you have less conductivity. No, basically you have to check that if you have more number of electrons or if you have more number of holes. If you have more number of holes, how can you generate this more number of holes? That means holes generates only when there is a movement of electron. Okay, if there is a movement of electron, that means electron can move from position A to B, then B to C, C to D, like this, and the previous, all the previous position of the free electron is filled with these holes. That means in this way, if you can generate more number of holes, there can a possibility that your conductivity will be increased. Okay. Now in case of n-type semiconductor, the position of your Fermi level EF, capital EF, this stands for Fermi level. So the position of the Fermi level is just near to the conduction band. Whereas in case of p-type semiconductor, just remember the position of the Fermi level is just closer to the valence band. Okay. So again I am saying n-type means you have more number of electrons. That means in case of n-type semiconductor, majority carriers are electron. Majority carriers electron. That means here Fermi level will lie near to the conduction band. In case of p-type semiconductor, majority carrier is what? Majority carrier is hole, and your Fermi level will lie closer to the valence band. Okay. Next, that is variation of Fermi level with doping concentration. Okay. So again another topic, this is also very important. So if your doping concentration is increases, then what happens? That means your position of Fermi level is still, it holds the same position, or it moves to the conduction band, or it moves to the valence band. See here, this is for n-type semiconductor, and this is for p-type semiconductor. Now when donor concentration increases in n-type semiconductor, okay, so donor concentration increases means what? Which is donor? Donor concentration increases means what? Donor concentration increases means again your free electrons, the concentration of free electrons are increases, and here acceptor concentration is increases. That means your whole concentrations are increases. Then what happens? That means when your electron concentrations will be increased, the position of the Fermi level will be like this. That means it will try to move towards the conduction band. From where? From the level of intrinsic, from the level of Fermi level at intrinsic semiconductor. Can you remember for intrinsic semiconductor what is the position of Fermi level? Just middle. So when n, that means the number of free electrons will be increased, then the structure or the view of the Fermi level will be like this. That is, it will slowly, it will try to move towards the conduction band from the position of the Fermi level for intrinsic semiconductor. And for if the concentration of hole is increased, then it will try to move to the position of the valence band. From where? From the exact location of the Fermi level for intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, this is all. So student, just go through this lecture. Already I have shared the PDF format of this note in your Google Classroom. So go through this, and if you have any query, please ask me. I will definitely try to solve out your problem. Okay. So this is all about today's class.